Chanel isn't worried about Gucci. Hey, welcome to Pay Your Tab, a place for entrepreneurs who are ready to book more clients, make more money, increase your income, and just have some real talk about business growth. I am Alex, your host to Pay Your Tab. So let's get down to it. Today we're talking about comparison. So you're ready to pay your tab. Chanel isn't worried about Gucci. Nike isn't worried about Adidas. I have posted this quote or a version of it to my Instagram feed so many times, and it always blows up. And as much as I love that, as much as I love creating content that you resonate with, that's why I create my memes all the time. But as much as I love doing this, I love knowing that other people out there feel it and they feel the same way, think the same way that I think, and that I'm thinking like you too. So I think there's a lot more to be said on this super simple quote about actual comparison, right? And it's a lot easier said than done to say, don't compare. Focus on yourself only. Don't think about what other people are doing. Don't think about what other people are thinking. Don't think about what other people are thinking about you. Easier said than done, right? And these days with social media, everyone else's lives, businesses, their literal business are in our face all of the time. So it's hard not to look at them, think about them, even potentially compare yourself. It's hard to not look at what other people are doing and think, why doesn't it look like that for me? Or why can't I have it that way? Or why is it so easy for them? Or maybe just do it like they're doing it. But oh my God, no, that has to be the worst train of thought ever. And I've been on it too. I doubt there is anyone out there who hasn't been on this train of thought at least once in their lives. But this is wrong for so many reasons, but let's start with 3 reasons. Social media is fake. You don't know where they're at in their journey, and you can't be them and they can't be you. You can't compare. You can't wish for what they have because social media is fake. You are only seeing what they want you to see. You are seeing a highlight reel of their lives, their businesses, or whatever aspect they're sharing that you're looking at and hoping for. And this can be fun and inspiring to watch, and we'll get into that later. But it can also hold us back if we are thinking that their life is only the good that they're sharing on Insta. There cannot be light without dark. It just doesn't work that way. And it's actually pretty easy to create a highlight reel on Insta when things are not actually going that way in your real life. And this is actually something that I teach in the Fully Booked Formula Brow Tap's signature program to book more clients. It's called Acting As If, and it's to act the way that the fully booked version of you would act like the person you want to be. And since the Fully Booked Formula is all about attracting and booking more clients, we say act like the fully booked version of you. But in general, acting as if works. So act like the person you want to be now before you are her in order to actually become her. And one way that I teach doing this is in real life, but also on Instagram, to show up like to your potential clients that you are fully booked, to show them what you have to offer and give them FOMO about not already being your client, which then encourages them to book with you and brings you one step closer to being that fully booked version of you. And this is a good thing. But if you're sitting there comparing yourself to other artists, you don't know that the real behind their Instagram posts, you don't know if they're just acting as if. And instead of acting as if yourself and setting yourself up for success, you were sitting there beating yourself up over not being booked, and then the cycle just continues. So it's important to remember that it's not always sunshine and rainbows that we see. There's always a lot more to the story. I know that I have done this myself, days where I'm not feeling it or days when I am hungover, sitting on the couch. This is when I'm so grateful for scheduled content, which I highly recommend, or when I go into my camera roll and post something of me doing something or something motivational when I'm literally lying on the couch. And yes, we should all be more authentic and just be honest, but we gotta remember that doesn't fit the highlight reel that everyone actually wants to see. So the next reason to stop comparing yourself is that you don't know where they're at in their journey. And I've seen a quote before and I'm going to butcher it. My head is so full of so many inspirational quotes that I've adjusted for my own mindset. But it goes something like this. It's crazy how many overnight successes we see who have been grinding for years. It's just going to show you, once again, you don't know what's happening behind the scenes, but you don't know how long they have been at it. It may look like they just started yesterday, but they may have spent years in another industry figuring it all out, implementing it into the new business, just took off, And it looks like that, right? And it always just looks easy, like it just happened. But there was work, there was struggle. You are just not seeing this. I always think about this when I listen to founder stories or inspirational entrepreneurs that I listen to on podcasts and whatnot. And I think about what they were like in the beginning. They always share part of their story, but you're not getting like the real thing. You're not seeing those first raw videos of them showing up for the first couple times. They're probably super cringy, that we all have, because we all have to start somewhere. I have those super cringy videos too. I've actually saved those videos to like go back to and remind myself of how cringy they were. And if you want, I can share them with you. I recently heard one story from Richard Branson, the disruptor himself. He told the story about how he started the airline part of Virgin. Okay, so it goes something like this. So he was in, I believe, Puerto Rico, and he wanted to fly to the British Virgin Islands to see a girl, of all things. And, of course, right? And he had a flight booked, and they canceled the flight because not enough seats were sold. So he was determined to get there that day, and he went to the charter counter, and he basically asked, can I charter a plane? How much is it? Put his credit card down, and then he went around to everybody else's flight who was canceled to get to the British Virgin Islands and sold them a seat on this charter flight that he just bought, that he just chartered. I think he said it was for $39 a seat. Now keep in mind, this was quite a few years ago, but anyways, $39 a seat, and he filled the plane and he got himself to the Virgin Islands. Later that week, he actually reached out to Boeing and asked how much it would cost to buy part of their fleet to create Virgin Airlines. And that's what they asked him on the phone. Oh, what is your airline called? And he came up with Virgin. And I fucking love this story. It's amazing. And I love hearing stories of people saying, fuck it, I'm going to figure it out and do it myself. You've heard me talk before about Jesse Itzlering it, then you know what I mean here. But this story also had me thinking, so Richard Branson already was at that point in his life, his career, his financial journey, that he could not only charter a jet, but a week later that he could buy a fleet of airplanes. So while this is super cool and inspirational story, it's not the beginning. It's not the first part of his story, because most people at the beginning of their journey don't have however much money it takes to charter a jet, let alone buy an airplane. So remember that you don't know where they are at. And of course, this reminds me of another quote, always with the quotes. Don't compare your day 1 to someone's day 100 or 1,000 or whatever day you want to choose. Even though you think you may know, you don't. So just stop comparing. Finally, number 3 reason to stop comparing is you can't do it like them and they can't do it like you. And that is pretty damn amazing. And this is more so along the lines of using them for inspiration or being like, oh, they did it this way, I'm going to do it this way. For example, they used this last promotion last month and it looks like they're doing so good and getting so many bookings. But remember, we don't know if that's true. We also don't know how many promotions they ran before this one that actually had this one working. But also because they are not you and you are not them. And unless they're going to show you the exact ins and outs of what they did. And while I do that in the Booked Up formula, a lot of people are not willing to do that. But you don't know the ins and outs of how they set it up, how they run it, and even if they actually got results. And by trying to replicate that, you're holding yourself back because you are not being authentic. And it will come across that way. And whatever you are trying to replicate will not work out like you want it to. But also because you are always going to be one step behind. Now, this is not to say don't take inspiration, don't use something as motivation or even as simple to like not create a trending reel or something. I'm not saying that, but always do it your way. Always add your own twist to it, or what I like to call your edge. Do it in a way that sets you apart, that makes you stand out, not blend in. I see a lot of aesthetics on Instagram feeds and a lot of them are the same, and while they are beautiful and I really love them, I have days where I'm like, damn, do I switch my aesthetic? But I don't, because not only is it not authentic to me, it doesn't allow me or you to stand out. You blend in beautifully, but you're still blending in. Okay, so those are my 3 reasons to be like Chanel and not worry about Gucci, or the other way around, or whatever brands or example really resonates with you, to remind you to do you and stop comparing. Because people who are out there doing the damn thing, who are successful, who are working their way towards it, are not worried about you. So don't worry about them. Focus on you. Now, for all my beauty artists out there, I know it's common advice when you're first starting out to look at others in your industry for inspiration or to find a mentor. And while this can be good advice, because there are great other inspirations out there and some can even be amazing mentors, it can also be really bad and hold us back. Now, what I'm referring to here is those in our industry who do the same things as us, the exact same service, because that gets us into the comparison game. That doesn't mean to not follow me. I want you to follow me, and I want you to follow other inspirational entrepreneurs too. That is how I got where I am, by learning from others who did it first. But the truth is, it doesn't have to be from your industry. It can actually be really beneficial if they're not. And this didn't happen to me by following my peers and comparing myself to them. There are so many awesome features that may be taboo to talk about, but they're there for you. Use the unfollow button. Use the mute feature if you don't want to completely unfollow them. I have done this many times. If there's someone on Instagram who just irks me in a certain way when I see their posts, and I notice this happening over a few days period, or that I catch myself being like, hey, I should do more of what they are doing, I hit that mute button so damn quickly, and it feels so good. Instagram is supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be uplifting. It's supposed to make you feel, or it's not supposed to make you feel bad about yourself. And if it does, you have the power to change that with literally one little click. I actually recommend, if you have had your account for a long time, going through in like a chill way while you're like watching TV or listening to a podcast like this or something, and do an unfollow of those people that you don't know, that you haven't talked to since high school. I did this about a year ago, maybe a little longer, and I love who I see on my feed now. I even did this specifically the other day with one account. It was this influencer girl from my city that I followed a while back because of a mutual friend. And I used to like to see what she posted, but recently I don't love it. It's a lot more negative stuff. So I was like, oh, I'll mute her for now. And then I thought to myself, oh my God, no, just go and unfollow her. I don't even know this girl. And if I come across her again in the future and like what I see, guess what? I can just hit that follow button again. It's that simple. Clear out what doesn't make you feel good. Find your peace, and then you can refollow them if you want to when you're feeling better about seeing their content. So what you should do instead, and what I mean by when you're feeling better about it, when your mindset is better, when you're ready, when you're able to look at their account, and instead of feeling jealous or comparison and asking why not me, that you can take it with a grain of salt and as motivation and inspiration. As knowing that if they have it, you can have it too. You use it as a driving force to work towards what you want. And one more thing is your reticular activation system in your brain. This is the part of the brain that allows you to do things without like really paying attention. Like when you're driving to work every day and you take the same route and you're listening to a podcast or music and you just get deep in thought and you drive through green lights and then you pull into the parking lot and you're like, oh shit, I'm here. And you don't even remember the drive. That's your reticular activation system. And this is also the system that works when we start to see the same things. Like let's say you really want a certain type of car or a new purse and you start seeing it everywhere and you're like, what the fuck? Last week I saw these nowhere and now everyone has one. It's not that way. It's because your brain is noticing the things that you want, the things you're paying attention to, the things you're focusing on. That's why we say what you focus on expands. So you can use this to your advantage when seeing others who you used to compare yourself with. When you come back with a clearer mindset, you can see it as more of what you want, and that what you want is coming your way by the law of vibration. You are seeing more of it because you are on the same wavelength as it. And if you continue to look at it in a positive way, then you can use the law of attraction and have it for yourself. So instead of worrying about Gucci, focus on yourself, focus on what you want, and use others as motivation, and in knowing that if you keep it up, what you want is on your way to you too. So that's it for today. If you want to learn more about attracting and booking more clients for your business, download the free Booked Up guide. The link is in the show notes. Not only do I share 7 methods to book more clients today, if you're ready to go beyond the free guide, you get exclusive access to the fully booked formula, Brow Tab's signature program for you to become that fully booked PMU artist. Link is in the show notes, and while you're at it, please hit subscribe and follow. I put out new episodes every week. See you then.